Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting of Wednesday, January 2nd, 2013. Could I have a roll call, please?
Donald Sikowski.
Present.
Salem Derby.
Present.
Dan Hagan.
Present.
Joseph McCoy.
Here.
Chet Ogilevitz.
Present.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Joy Winnie. Here. Nathan Ziegler.
Present.
Could I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of December
moved.
19th?
Second.
A motion, a second for the approval of the minutes. Any additional discussion? Any abstentions? One abstention. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention. Thank you. Public speak time. If there's anyone here from the public who would like to address the City Council or something other than a public hearing, if we don't have any, please come to the podium. Not seeing any. Okay. Communications from elected officials, boards, and committees. We don't have any of those either. There's no correspondence, so we're moving right along to Mayor Communications. Mayor Tosnick.
Good evening, Mr. President, councilors. Happy New Year. I have one item that's on your agenda and one that I believe was placed in front of you for this evening. The item on your agenda is Administrative Code 13.1, which is a request that you approve the creation of an Energy Advisory Committee as a part of the ongoing process of taking stuff that happens in my office and getting it out to others as I prepare to leave. This is one fairly large area that we've taken full responsibility for in the mayor's office, and we're trying to put that out to a citizen committee. And so at the request, after some consultation of the master plan implementation group, we're actually trying to create a standalone committee for this. We thought that the effort was more important than to have it part of a subcommittee of a subcommittee. And so we wanted the Energy Committee to be a standalone group, and so you have that in front of you. Also provided for you this evening is a request that we're actually asking you to act on fairly quickly because of a request from the Commonwealth. There is an APR on Chickwin property on Oliver Street that many years ago was released through a court case and then special legislation. But the city never released it. And so the state is looking to settle the issue with the Chickwins and the APR property. The issue is going before the Conservation Commission for their meeting on the 14th. Although we're not certain that the Conservation Commission has to act, the state has requested the CONCOM to act, and so they're going to be requested to act on the 14th. And we're hoping that you'll be able to review this and come back with action at your next meeting this month, if that's possible. That's the request from the Commonwealth. We can provide you with further information. The city attorney's been working on this. I think that the document is fairly self-explanatory, but if you have any questions when you get a chance to digest it, simply ask. Thank you.
Any additional questions for the mayor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, since he brought these two up, then why don't we just move these committee then? So for the Administrative Code Request 13-1, I believe it goes to ordinance. So can I have a motion to move that to ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion a second to move that to ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion passes. And also I'll take a motion to move the request for the APR on the Chickawan land to property.
Yeah.
Can I have that as a
And
motion?
I'll set a date for that right now if you
Okay,
don't
we
mind.
still need to
Do that committee.
move the motion. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. And then, Councilor
At the
Psychowski.
next meeting, we'll convene a meeting at 5:45 in these chambers.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the date.
January
16th.
16th.
January 16th?
Okay. So those two new businesses have been moved to committee.
Does this need a public hearing?
Moving on, standing committees, rules and government relations.
Yes, I'd just like to announce, Mr. President, that we will be finally getting back to our public hearing on 32B. It's a very important meeting. At that time, the treasurer hopes to present us with some updated information as requested by the council, as well as Representative Sybeck had indicated he would attend to answer some more questions on it. I do hope that the council will vote on this. It has been delayed because of the holidays, et cetera, and it's important that we get it out of the council chamber, so I hope it will be voted on. Also, on January 8th, which is next Tuesday, we will have a meeting to discuss the Mount Tom coal plant resolution and the rule on videotaping. That is all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Finance.
Next meeting of finance will be January 9th, 2013. At that time, we'll take up the item that's currently, or two items currently on the agenda, although they're related. That's the 1.5% COLA for pay plan employees, and going along with that, the amendment to the ordinance for Exhibit B of the pay plan.
Okay.
There's also gonna be several new business items I'll get to at that time.
So no public hearings at this?
No
time?
public
Okay.
hearings.
Thank you. And we have no report for public safety. Counselor Winnie, appointments?
No report tonight, Mr. President. Thank you.
Ordinance, Counselor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. All I have to report is that we will be meeting Wednesday, January 9th at 6 p.m. In conference room A in the basement.
Do you need
Do you
extensions?
Oh, yeah, looks like you need extensions.
I guess I'll take some extensions here. I would move to request a 60-day extension for both the special permitting process and Councilor Psychowski's request.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second for a 6-day extension on the first two topics there on the special permitting process and the recent stretch code. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. And does that conclude?
That concludes. Thank you.
Okay, property, Counselor Psychowski.
We already took care of our business tonight. There's no further report. Thank you.
Okay, did you have a comment, or I thought
Well,
I
I was
missed
gonna
it.
ask to Danny. Danny, you said on 32B that some new information's coming in, and it seemed like you explained it that we wouldn't be getting the information until that evening. And to make a decision on something that's serious, to take the information and not have a chance to study it, and not have the insurance advisory subcommittee
point.
have it. I think that'd be too premature to call for a vote that evening, don't you?
May I ask the finance director how she feels about getting it to us prior to the meeting so it can be studied by the counselor?
What you asked me for prior to the meeting was quotes from the insurance company. They've been made aware of the 16th deadline and assured me that I will have it by the 16th, not earlier. And
Okay.
we are not voting on whether or not we change the insurance plan. We're voting on whether or not we change the way we negotiate insurance.
Same thing, you still need the information to make that decision.
It really,
Okay.
they're two different things.
That's enough for them. So if we get it sooner, you will certainly get it to us as soon as she has information. And if, come that day of the public hearing, if
No,
that's
I mean, it
serious,
isn't
right.
fair if we don't,
No.
we don't have that information in front of us to study for at least a few days.
I
And come
understand.
in here totally unprepared and think we're gonna throw a vote through.
Right. I understand your point, and there'll be time for that kind of discussion on that day, and hopefully we'll get the information sooner. So no more for your business, your property. Okay. New business, so it looks mainly like finance, Counselor Hagan.
First item for finance is an interdepartmental transfer for $1,380. I have a request here with all the appropriate signatures dated December 20th. And I'll do a first reading, 2012. The amount requested, $1,380 to be transferred from General Reserve Fund in the amount of $480, Sewer Waste Treatment Plant Reserve in the amount of $600, and Water Reserve Fund in the amount of $300 to be transferred to the Highway Uniform Allowance Fund in the amount of $360, the Motor Repair Uniform Allowance in the amount of $120, the Sewer Uniform Allowance in the amount of $180, the Wastewater Treatment Uniform Allowance in the amount of $420, and the Water Uniform Allowance in the amount of $300. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to fund a labor dispute resolution. I would make this in the form of motion that this item be moved to finance for further study.
Second.
Motion a second to move the interdepartmental transfer of $1,380 to finance. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
I have 4 supplemental appropriations, all of which have the appropriate signatures of city officials. The first is dated December 20th, 2012. The request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. The amount requested, $7,800, to be appropriated from enterprise retained earnings in the amount of $7,800 to be appropriated to the Water Department well improvements, and that amount $7,800. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to fund the evaluation of a mechanical emergency backup pump drive system for the Nonotuck Park water supply.
That was in form of a motion.
Make that in the form of a motion to be moved to finance.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move the supplemental appropriation of $7,800 to finance. Any additional discussions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
The next supplemental appropriation, again with all the appropriate signatures, dated December 20th, 2012. Request is hereby made for the approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested $34,300 to be appropriated from free cash, and that amount, $34,300, to be appropriated to the DPW landfill professional services in the amount of $34,300. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to fund the design of landfill gas ventilation system near the northern border of the Oliver Street landfill. I'll make that in the form of a motion that this supplemental appropriation be sent to finance.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second to move the supplemental appropriation of $34,300 to finance. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
The next supplemental appropriation, again signed by all the appropriate city officials, dated December 20th, 2012. Request is hereby made for the approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested $11,000 to be appropriated from free cash, and that amount $11,000 to be appropriated to dispatch overtime in the amount of $11,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to fund an expected budget shortfall due to shift vacancies caused by training and injury. And I'll make that in the form of a motion that the supplemental appropriation be sent to finance.
Second.
Motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $11,000 to finance. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
And the final supplemental appropriation request, again with the appropriate signatures of city officials, dated December 20th, 2012. The request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. The amount requested, $103,000 to be appropriated from free cash, in the amount of $103,000 to be appropriated to fire department overtime in the amount of $103,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to fund an expected budget shortfall due to extended shift vacancies caused by injury and administrative leave. And I'll make this in the form of a motion that it be sent to finance.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to move the supplemental appropriation of $103,000 to finance. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Motion passes. Okay, is there any additional new business that comes up?
Make a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion passes. See you on the 16th.
Thanks.